What is up, guys? Welcome in. My name is Nick and welcome to the channel. You join me today at Laguna Seca. We are doing the short version of the Laguna Seca circuit, and we'll be doing so from behind the wheel of our Honda Civic for the touring car hopper. Been fiddling about with the tuning this one, and I've got it handling very nice indeed. We go through our first lap with a 107.4, so that leaves us about a tenth off of pole position. Unfortunately, on our second run, as you just saw, we got a bit too greedy going through the fast left-hander, dropping a few wheels on the dirt and ruining that lap there. So we skip and go again. We go very conservative through the first corner this time to make sure we get through, and then coming up the hill on the left hand kink, coming up towards the corkscrew, we again managed to drop a little bit of time there, about half a second behind our current PB. We get a good run through the corkscrew, however, and a good run through the left-hander means we find a few of those tenths back again, and as we come through the final corner, we lock up a little bit on entry. We get very greedy and use all of the circuit there, just keeping it clean, and we do manage to find about a tenth and a half, giving us a 107.3 for that one. So unfortunately, we're a little bit further back than we had hoped. With the final lap there, we left about probably half a second on the table, unfortunately, but it was still good enough for a P5 on the grid here. So we will be looking to see if we can move forward. As a quick reminder, we are currently Safety Group S with a skill rating of 4670, so we will be looking to improve on that if we can. There are a couple of Audis in front and a couple of Audis behind, so it's not going to be the easiest, but we will see what we can do here. We get set off from the grid, and we have a good start compared to the Focus just to our right hand side, settling squarely behind the Audi in front of us in the DHL livery. As we come up to the fast left hander, very dangerous corner in multiplayer, but we managed to get through there fine. The Focus tried darting up on the inside there and wasn't really any room for him. I did cut him up a little bit, but that was not really intentional. We're getting bounced around quite a lot in the first part of the lap here. We do manage to gap them coming up to the fast left-hander as we go under the bridge. We drop it down to third, use all of the track there. Ideally, you want to do that in fourth, I found, but for me, third was the best on the first lap as I came in a bit hot, so using the engine to slow me down a bit there. But we managed to hold on to that position through the remainder of the lap, closing in on P3 here. He goes wide off the track, throwing a few wheels onto the dirt. We get incredibly greedy up the inside, and we just completely misjudge how long it's going to take us to stop when we were on the inside line there, and we make a silly mistake dropping down to P6, desperately trying to make it any worse. We get in front of the Civic, just about coming into the corkscrew here, keeping him behind us, and then by the end of this lap we do manage to put about or second or so between us and him, just to make sure that we are going to be chasing down the group ahead of us. So coming into the end of lap 4, we are within a couple of seconds of P5. It took a little while just to close down the group in this one here. We've been putting in PBs after PBs. He's getting a bit short on tyres, it would appear, and we are closing down to within a second by the end of lap 5. He had a few off tracks through the course of that lap there, so I think the Audi, renowned for wearing out his tyres quite quickly, we managed to get through the left hand kink a lot better than he does, carrying a lot more speed even with him on the outside. We managed to sneak up the inside here on the way to the corkscrew, braking just before the crest, putting ourselves on the inside, just about maintaining control of the vehicle there and getting through to hold that position as we come down the sweeping left-hander. Closing out the lap, we have a couple of seconds advantage, so it's not going to be a particularly comfortable final lap here. We are a bit too far away to do anything in terms of fighting for P4 or higher. Focusing on now just making sure we don't make any mistakes to keep hold of what we've got. Looking here, P5 is about half a second behind us, a bit too far to do a lunge, so we brake nice and calmly coming through here, using all the track on exit, making sure we managed to secure this P5. So unfortunately, no positions gained. We could have maybe fought for a P3 based on the opening laps, but it wasn't to be. Still happy with the P5. We didn't drop any positions, but yeah, what could have been, unfortunately, in this one. Definitely didn't manage to maximise the possibilities. And for our second race, we will be jumping to the Nürburgring Sprint Circuit. That's right, it is another double header after the good response I got from the previous one. We'll be trying to see if we can make this a staple going forward. As always, you join me on the end of our first flying lap for qualifying. We have managed to get provisional pole with a 38.0, and we completely ruined our second attempt by missing the braking point for turn 1 and not getting through the opening section particularly well. So we skip lap jumping forward. We have a new target of 37.1 for pole. We do manage to find about 3 tenths through the first sector, and as we come through the second sector, we're about 6 tenths up, and then coming down towards the final chicane here, we brake a bit too early, not really hustling it through these bits at all, nowhere near as quick as I can get the car through those corners. That means we don't lose any time, but we definitely lose a few potential tenths there. About 3 or 4 tenths, I'd imagine, was dropped through that chicane. We find 3 more tenths in the final corner, so we will finish just under a second improvement at a 37.3, which was still good enough for P2. Sorry, 37.1, which is still good enough for P2, but definitely potential of pole in this one here. So we are going to be starting from the front row, we do have a clear run to turn 1 and we are on the inside, so we might be able to just get something happening here if we can make sure that we are alongside the Audi coming into the braking zone. So we get off the line here. We have a good-ish start. It's not the greatest. The Audi is definitely starting to pull away from us, and we've got a Honda closing in the mirrors. That it is a bit distracting for me because we do completely miss the braking zone and we become the villain. We've lived ourselves long enough as the hero to see ourselves become the villain, and we do drive straight into the back of the Audi as he tries to make the turn, unfortunately. So we back off, let him regather himself and carry on afterwards. That means we drop all the way down to P5 as we come through the long left-hander before the right-hander. This is all just a lot of sit and wait for this bit, unfortunately. We get a much better run through this sharp right-hander as we head down towards the hairpin. We get alongside the Audi. He outbrakes himself there, drives off into the grass, so we make it up to P4, and we're looking to see if we can get the move done on the Hyundai in front of us. A lot of squabbling happening ahead of us coming through the right-hander here. We try and brake and not really sure where they're going to be to drive around it until someone decides to just drive through us and spin us out into the wall. So make that P10, P11, sorry, P12. We'll get there in the end. As we brake for the chicane just on the inside here, we had the Audi closing in on us, so we put ourselves on the inside to make sure we can dictate the line through that chicane, and we do manage to become the benefactor off of it. As we come down the start-finish straight, we do manage to actually make our way back up to P9 after some people squabbling through there. We've got a defensive into turn 1 to make sure that we don't have the Audi dive bombing us. We go up the inside of the other Audi in front of us. There is a lot of Audis in this Lobbies, I am just noticing now. We are now sat behind the guy who was originally on pole, so we're looking to see if we can get past him on merit. Looking to see if we can get anything moving here. Unfortunately, the Audi is a lot quicker than us in a straight line, so he is ahead of us coming into this chicane, and then the Civic in front just basically stops. There was a guy off onto the right hand side. It's all just gone completely Pete Tong. We're trying to get back onto track, but we can't apparently, so we are back down to P9. So it doesn't seem to be able to catch a break in this one here. We started P2 and we're now down P9, braking into turn 1. The camouflage Audi brakes very early. I have to take a bit of avoiding action, dive up the inside to make sure we get that move done up to P8. Coming into the last chicane once again. A lot more stuff happening here once again. We might cut the chicane a little bit, but we don't pick up a penalty, which is good. We make another position up with the Audi squabbling in front of us. We are now one Civic in a line of Audis. Coming through the first sector here for lap 4. We're looking to see if we can maybe get the benefactor of these two squabbling once again. We dive up the inside of this other Audi. He ends up going a bit deep through the braking phase on that. We are once again behind the guy who was on pole. We do a switch back through the first chicane after the hairpin. We get the move done before the right-hander. We don't have the greatest to run through there. We cut a little bit tight, run our wheel up on the curve. That compromises the exit. We give him the inside just to make sure we can see if we can do anything under braking. We don't really try anything too difficult. We get a much better run through this chicane though, maximising track limits more than the guy ahead of us. We get a much better run out into the final corner, put ourselves on the inside to claim that one as well. Make sure we put ourselves to the point where we can't get us a switchback. So looking at starting the final lap here, he is about 0.3 of a second behind us, not quite far enough to put a lunge in there, so we managed to hold on to P5. Coming through the final chicane, we look to get through as best as we can. No penalties, no good there. We managed to get basically maximise that as far as we can. Unfortunately, the guy ahead of us was a bit too far to capitalise. He only had a 1/10 penalty there to end it, so that will be our second P5 in a row. So once again, not the greatest of finishes considering we started P2. We definitely had the pace in this one. If you compare it to the lead front, we weren't quite on the pace of the leader. He did start from the back of the grid, but we were definitely in pace for a podium in this one. And now, that is right, this is a triple header. I thought the other two were a little bit too short, so we were going to see if we can tack on an extra one here for you. So, as always, we join after the first qualifying lap. We are at 1:36.2 at Maple Valley within the full circuit. I still am not quite down with this track yet, unfortunately. There's bits of it I still don't understand, considering I'm about 2 or 3 seconds off of pole when it's all said and done. We put pretty much two identical qualifying times here of a 1:36.2. There's a 2:09 is our fastest, and then 2:19, so within the 100th of a second over 2 qualifying laps, so we're pretty sure that's our pace coming into this one. We are once again starting P5. We seem to be claiming P5 as our own in this run of touring car races here, but we will see what we can get done in this one. Sometimes it can be a bit of a bloodbath, sometimes they can be pretty good. So we're going to be sat behind the Audi here. We've got 2 Lincoln Co's out in front. They are very strong cars on this circuit here specifically, but we're going to be looking to see if we're going to go nice and wide through the first corner, making sure we don't get anyone dive up the inside. The Audi still runs a bit deep in front of us, so we have to take a bit of avoiding action there. We do drop to P8 with the cars running up the inside of us through this long turn 1 right hand here. We dive up the inside. The Hyundai doesn't really see us there, chops us a little bit. I'm not sure if that move was really on, or if I got a bit greedy there, but it doesn't seem like it's affected anyone really too much. We are definitely being imposed on by a lot of people behind us. There's a big scary wall of cars behind us. We're going very wide through this fast left-hander here to make sure we don't chop anyone up, and you can see in the mirrors it is all just kicking off behind us. Again, not sure if there's anyone up the inside, so we're going to give the Apex a wide margin. A quick flash there shows us there is someone. He tries to dart behind me, but collapses my quarter panel in the process. Coming through the long left-hander, sort of Coliseum carousel corner here, we do manage to secure P6 at this point, and coming through into the final corner, you see the car behind us who was bearing down on us managed to just clout the wall there, pings off to the right hand side, so it gives us a little bit of breathing room. The Audi ahead of us here just sort of chops me in at the second part of the corner here. I tried to back out of it, but there wasn't really anywhere to go. He just kept coming further and further across. It was not my intention to clatter into him there, but he didn't really leave me any space at all. We're coming through here, we get the carousel corner, gets us a bit all out of shape, and as we come up come to the uphill section, the left-hander, the Audi dives up the inside of us, understeers straight into the side of us, and we get slammed into the wall. So we are now down into P7. We've got the Logitech Audi on our right-hand side once again, holding us out wide, so we have to take a very compromised line through there. Coming into the end of lap 3, once again, the Audi cuts back across us after running a wider line. Really just seems to keep coming together with this guy here, not my intention at all. That one, I think, was a bit more him adjusting his line mid-corner. It's a very difficult one to change your line if you're sort of going for the move there, unfortunately. So, yeah. A bit more comes together than I intended with this guy in front of us, but yeah, none of it was malicious, fortunately, so hopefully if he does find this, he knows that it was not my intent to bull him away past him. But anyway, after more waffling here, we've managed to make up to P5 with a guy who was running very slow through the last corner here. We're coming into the final lap. We've closed down in on P4. He has got a 4-second penalty. We run wide at the top of the hill there, really struggling with front tyre grip on this one. We dive through the last corner. The guy in front of us ends up driving wide, bouncing off the wall, slinging it across. We chase down to the line. We're still good enough to get in front of the red and black Audi, but the last guy there apparently picks up a penalty, because although we crossed the line in 6th, we managed to get P4 when it was all said and done. So, having a quick look at the post-race stats here, we can see that the guy ahead of us ends up picking a 0.8 of a second penalty coming through that last corner, which is good enough to give us P4 when it's all said and done. So a 5th, a 5th, and a 4th. A pretty good run through these races here. We maintain a safety rating of S. We only get a slight increase of rating to 4.674, unfortunately. But yeah, I hope you managed to keep on when we were on there. That was very high-paced, a bit more of a frantic edit than I was anticipating, and as you can probably hear, my voice is struggling a bit with this one as I do all of these in one tank. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy this one. If you did, please do click the one on the left hand side. This is the last time we went out in the touring cars. The one on the right there is the playlist for all of my other Forza content, so if you did enjoy this one, do please give them a watch, drop me a like, leave me a comment, let me know if you enjoyed it, and do please subscribe for more in the future, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.